On today's podcast, we went to Instagram to find out your questions and we'll give answers. Welcome to another fantastic edition of the Ultimate Deck Podcast, episode 35.
I should look into that. I have no idea ever.
I actually don't know if that's right either. I know it's around there.
Yeah.
Means we've been doing this for over half a year.
Yeah, we're coming for you, JJ.
Remember when your wife thought we wouldn't do it for more than 3 weeks? And now
she's mad. It's Saturday. She wants to hang out. The store's closed. She's like, "What are we doing tonight?" And I was like, "Nothing. I'm shooting a podcast. I'm not losing a bet to you." Yeah. That is not happening.
So we've done pretty well. Like, that bet closes on episode 52, and so we're not too far away from that, I believe this is 35. It's around there.
Sweet.
Today we thought we'd try something. It's Shane Chapman here, by the way, Wade Laurent. Same two characters as you mostly hear here, but today we thought, let's do things a little bit differently. Instead of scratching our heads and trying to think, what are we going to talk about today? We decided to go to Instagram, throw up a couple stories and say, hey, ask us some questions and we'll answer them on the podcast.
Turns out we have 3 people that follow us on Instagram.
3 people super interested in what we might have to say today. Anyway.
You gave them a whole, 4 hours?
I did post that a bit late. I thought about posting it last night to give people like a good 20 hours before we were going to start this. Yeah. And then I didn't. And I was going to do it first thing this morning and then I didn't. So yeah, it was only up for 4 or 5 hours, but we did get probably close to 10 questions. Well, that's from 3 or 4 different people. So
here we go.
Let's get started. I'm going to go in order. So some of you greedy bastards asked 4 questions
in a row.
Let's start with him, Rob. First question comes.
I was so pumped that it wasn't when are we going fishing?
That was the obvious one that he I don't know how he missed out on that. Yeah. The backstory behind that is that we've got this rep, and you all know him because he's on Instagram as the LED light guy. We mentioned to him one time, a year and a half ago, that, hey, we should go fishing sometime. And I don't think we've ever had a conversation with him since then that hasn't opened with, hey, when are we going fishing?
He loves it, right? So he took Deck Commander fishing. And
yep. So we're going to have to make that happen at some point. It's just that it's tough to do in the middle of summer. But anyway, the first question is from the LED light guy. All these people are on Instagram. That's where we pulled the questions from. So go ahead and follow these people at the LED light guy. Question 1 was, what does Wade really do?
So I don't know what to do on this. I don't know if I should answer this like a smart ass or if I should just
I think it's a smart ass question, so you should give a smart ass answer. I'm confused by the way the question is posed. It's he knows what he thinks we want people to think you do, but he's wondering what does he really do though? But I don't even know what he thinks you do.
Yeah, I don't know. So I look busy. I try to look busy most of the time.
Yeah.
I try as hard as I can to not smile when the employees are around. I try to look like a grumpy old bugger.
Oh, you don't want to get too friendly with the employees.
Right? They're they want to hang out and drink with you then. So yeah. I would say on the day-to-day, I'm mostly in the office.
Sits in the office with a frown on his face and then goes golfing. That's what Wade does.
Yeah, I do. I've done really good this year about golf. I felt like over the last few years, I haven't got enough golf in. And this year I've done a pretty good job of making sure that Wednesday afternoons I can get out of here and then once on the weekends. So
yep. If Wade's not here, he's either at the bank or he's golfing.
The Deer Valley, yeah. check the bank on Wallace Street, and then if I'm not there, then check.
Yeah. And then I'm golfing.
Yeah.
So that's what Wade really does.
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes he even sells the odd deck package.
I think I'm in first this month.
First place.
Yep.
Now, Rob's okay, funny stuff out of the way. He's going to get to some real questions now. Question number 2.
Read it as it's written. Read it exactly how he wrote it. Good luck. Yeah, good luck.
Okay. At the LED light guy. Question 2. Grays and darks colors seemed popular last year or two. Any new trends? Part 1. That's how it was written.
Okay.
Then he follows up. This must be the part 2. It doesn't say part 2. Part 2, I guess, was trends from A, designers, B, homeowners, C, manufacturing, D, DIY TV shows.
Yeah.
Do yourself it. TV shows. And then like part 3, he's the worst. He's one of those guys that like texts you the first thought, hit send, text the next thought, hit send. That's why there's 4 questions here. As in, are there different trends from different sectors? So
here's what's not trendy. Spelling. Rob's spelling is not trending.
Yeah. Dyslexia, super trendy. Switching those letters up there. But anyways, okay, so let's tackle it. Enough joking around. Designers. What are designers doing nowadays? What do you like? When we see plans come in from a landscape designer or some sort of designer, what are they doing? What's popping up on the plans?
Roof structures. Seen lots of pergolas, right? And that's coming from everybody. That's whether it's our landscape designers who's our landscape designer, Rusty Shovel there.
Jesse?
Shovel, and then Jesse.
At landscape.designs, I think is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
And then Premier Outdoors, he's doing lots of designs as well. He's always got some sort of roof structure on there, inlays in the pavers. So it's, roof structures, I think, is probably the number one thing that I'm seeing from designers.
So I think from designers too is, and especially from the 2 guys that you just mentioned, is like merging hardscapes and the deck and creating like an overall plan. Because a lot of deck builders and whatever, they think about the deck space, but they're not thinking about the rest of the yard as much. Whereas when you hire a designer, you're usually hiring them to do the whole backyard, not just the deck.
Correct, yeah.
Like we'll design just the deck or whatever, but most designers are going to take a kind of a holistic approach to the whole backyard. And so they really focus on tying together the deck with the hardscape and the landscape and everything else and making sure it all integrates and flows together, which is what you want.
It's good.
Like It's awesome to have that. So
I like it. For
sure. I would say, designers, there we go. There's 3 trends from designers. For homeowners, what are we finding that homeowners are trending towards? The obvious one is homeowners are trending towards composite maintenance-free materials. That one's the obvious one that probably didn't need mentioning. And Rob's going to get tickled over this, the LED light guy, probably like lighting is something that more and more homeowners are trending towards. They're starting to see the benefit of adding a little bit of light to their space. It softens it. It creates a nice ambiance to the deck and the hardscape. And not just on the deck, but on the patio and uplighting for their trees and everything else. Like that's becoming a very trendy thing to do. And for good reason. It looks amazing.
Yeah. And you can see in the dark.
Well, that's all right.
Great.
Yeah. Anyway.
I didn't kill it on that one.
From manufacturing, we should have been using our buttons here. From manufacturing, what are the trends we're seeing from manufacturing? We talked about this a little bit before. One of the things was some color trends. We're starting to see. You know what? I want to talk about that. We're going to get a chance to talk about that later.
Probably the biggest trend that I've seen from manufacturers is their aggressive price points. They're doing like a better price point on most of their composites, composites, and then they're doing rather than having 5 or 7 different colors mixed into a board, they're limiting that to 3 or 4, drops of color so you can still have a streak board. It just doesn't have as much streaking in it, and so,
drops of color.
Yeah, hate to give out too many secrets, so I don't want to. I don't want to talk about how the industry is actually
right. Yeah, touchy subject. I know that. the brand we're not supposed to mention anymore. TimberTech is trying to make trends with multi-width decking, but they're the only ones that have really done it so far. Will it catch on? I don't know. There's certainly some builders out there in the Instagram community that have latched onto that and they're playing with it. Whether this is kind of like a short-lived trend or not, whether they're just playing with it because it's something new and then eventually it's going to be is there really any point to this, or is it just interesting because it's new? We'll see. I don't see any other manufacturers jumping on this multi-width decking trend. There's always been some manufacturers that have made a porch board profile, a narrower profile. That part's not exactly new, but the way TimberTech is promoting it and marketing it as just giving the builder more creative tools to use. So I guess that could be a trend. I don't know.
I don't think that's a trend. I think it's a thing. Absolutely, right?
Yeah. It's pre-trend. We'll see if it's a trend.
I don't think.
Right now it's a fad. It's probably more a fad than a trend at this point. But we'll see. It may grow into a trend.
It might. Yep.
Who knows?
It might really go.
DIY TV shows. So gone are the days of the decked out and deck wars and disaster decks and all these shows that Paul LaFrance was pumping out. I don't know that there's a ton of deck specific shows out there. There's still, I don't like Docked Out that Jason Varney ran there for a bit. Like there's obviously lots of DIY shows that aren't specific to decks, but like I don't know what that is. I don't know what that trend would be within TV. I don't know. Like I can't really come up with one there.
I feel like they're doing a lot more in the TV sector is being done towards the whole house, right? And they're renovating entire houses. They're doing the rooms inside. They're doing the kitchens. They're also doing outside, right? And so, because that's kind of how you would reno a house. That's like the real world.
Yeah.
You don't just show up and be like, okay, well, I'm just doing my deck now. You know, I feel like you take on the whole thing. So,
and I guess the trend, if we're to talk back about when those shows were on the air and whatnot, I guess the trend there was like, to your point, was like, this isn't just a deck anymore. It's not just like, what's a deck to you? Oh, it's a rectangle where I have beers sometimes with my friends. No, now it's like, no, you have there's not just a deck. There's a living room portion to the deck, and then there's a lounge area, and there's an outdoor kitchen area, and then it ties in and flows down to this patio area where like there's all these different rooms. So maybe that's a trend that the DIY networks have kind of brought, was like, spend some money and create not just a deck, but like an outdoor house. Like you have components to it now that
it's cheaper to build outside, right?
Yep.
Than it is than to build inside. So maybe when they started all those shows, it was a fad. Now building outside is a trend.
It definitely turned into a trend. Like
right?
people are spending money outside like they didn't do before.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, anyways, we ended up finding a good answer for that one.
There you go.
The next question we're going to tackle, now that Rob's done talking,
finally,
jeez, is from LMR Vinyl.
I think November. We should go fishing in November.
There's a lot going on in November. I think we maybe December.
Down in the States. Why don't we go fishing?
Deck Expo down there.
We
have a trade show
fish
up
in the
here.
States?
I don't know what the rules are about that. Well, we're all Canadians.
Can't work down there.
Yeah, that's right. Elmar Vinyl, who they are kind of like a distributor / dealer.
Yeah, just like us, father-son team.
Yeah, father-son team in Ontario at Elmar Vinyl, ALMAR Vinyl. And for Rob's sake, that's I first and then Y, not the other way around. They ask, what are your sales percentage of solid edge versus grooved edge boards? And so I tried to reach out to them for clarification on what they wanted from this, but they decided that they just wanted to ask the question and didn't really care about an accurate answer. They didn't reply to me. So now I'm just going to give them the stat.
They entered it and then they just...
So I think what the story is behind their question is Elmar Vinyl distributes Wolf Decking and Vecca Decking.
Correct.
Two brands. And those two brands with their PVC lines only make solid edge boards. And so my guess is these guys are like, hey, are we missing out? Like, are people preferring grooved boards? Are we missing out on anything there? That's, I assume, what the question is. So your guys' question caused me the most amount of work. I had to go dig into the stats, but I did it. And 28% of our board sales are are solid edge boards.
Correct. 28%.
Yeah. 28 versus 72% are grooved. So the high majority of the boards are grooved, but that's because 6 of the 7 brands we carry make grooved boards, and then they make their one kind of solid edge board that's used for picture frames and stairs and whatnot. And then Wolf being the one that we carry that doesn't make any groove board at all. So that's how you come to the 28. Like probably 20% of deck boards that are sold as picture frames and stairs and whatnot. And then that other 8% is probably made up by just our Wolf sales. Like, I don't know what that stat probably doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like 20% of boards are solid, I guess, but it's not like 20% of jobs are just solid edge. It's that 20% of the material that goes to a job is a solid edge board because it's being used in an application where a solid edge board is desirable.
Correct.
So there you go.
You're welcome.
Do with that number what you will. 28%.
Yeah. Sounds like you're missing out on 72% of the market. That's what I think.
I don't know if that's what that means,
You
but
better load up on some grooved edge. Buy a router bit.
The next question is from Sousa Outdoor Living. Did he change his name?
He must have.
It wasn't always Sousa Outdoor Living. It was Sousa Construction, I thought.
Yeah. Good move on the outdoor living. I think
slipped
that's a
that
good
in
call.
Good thing he kept his logo in the same. I would have thought that was a different Sousa.
Email and give us a heads up. That's fine.
No kidding. So at Sousa Outdoor Living, who is a contractor in
Edmonton. Sherwood Park.
outside Edmonton.
Leduc. Sherwood Park.
I feel like I'm supposed to know it. But anyways, he's near Edmonton. Builds some awesome stuff. Follow him. He's really doing some cool things. And the last deck he
He's a
built
fun
there,
dude,
I don't know if it's,
too.
yeah,
I
he's
hung
a
out with him in
like
Nashville.
solid guy, like really, really good guy.
Yeah.
Works solo for the most part, I think.
It's probably for the best.
His last deck, or at least the last one I remember him posting about, he took a step up and like had brought in a designer to stage the deck with furniture and whatnot, and got some professional photos taken. And like, that's such a good thing to do. If you've got a marketing bone in your body, staging the deck and taking professional photos at the end of it is a wise thing to do. Very underrated. But he did that, and of course, as it turned out, amazing photos. Why do the decks on HGTV always look so good? Well, because they bring in a stager at the end. That girl, I don't remember what her name was on those shows on Decked Out, who'd come in there and stage everything. It's like, so like there's tables and chairs set up, and not just tables and chairs, but like napkins and plates and cutlery. And it's like the whole space then looks inviting and looks as you would use it. There's no imagination left, and it's all like color coordinated, and it just looks beyond good. Anyways, so he did that.
Yeah.
He did that one time. Let's get to his question. How do you qualify clients without being an eggplant? What?
That's one of my favorite emojis.
Look at that emoji right there. Yeah, so the eggplant is
I feel like
I'm guessing it's kind of like without being a dickhead,
Yeah.
being a dick. So
I don't know that I pull that off perfectly every time. Like that's part of my qualifying process, actually. I'm not the best sales guy. That's why it's a big deal that I'm in first this month. That's why I sit in the chair.
So I think this question, this answer is going to be a little bit different for a dealer like us than it would be for a contractor like Sousa. So we'll give
Any
both.
of our guys.
Let's give both answers, right?
Sure.
As a contractor, you generally try to pick your niche. You don't try to be everything to everybody. You don't try to build the pressure treated $1,500 deck for the guy who's on a super tight budget. And then the next week you roll into a $300,000 deck and you do hit that guy's deck too. You're probably not doing both. You're probably not catering to both those people. We do. Like, we sell materials to anybody who wants to build. If a guy comes in here, he's going to do it himself and he wants to spend as little as possible, well, we cater to him.
Yep, absolutely.
Guy comes in and wants to spend $300,000 and do it back here, we cater him to too. So we're trying to be more, because we're on the supply side, we're trying to be more to everybody. And we've got different types of contractors that shop here. Some of them do the smaller jobs and they're weekend warriors and they just, they single guy teams. So they do smaller decks, and then we have other guys who are doing big projects. So we have to cater a little bit more to it. So for us to qualify a customer, I don't know that it's as important to qualify the customer, but it is. Like, we still need to know what their budget is and make sure that we're kind of delivering to them a realistic quote, I guess, or estimate to them, to make sure we're not wasting our time. Not to qualify them as to whether we should be working for them or not, or selling materials to them for them or not, just to make sure that we're more accurate in how we handle the situation. That's what we need to do to qualify.
Correct. And I think we do a pretty good job of making sure that we ask that early on, right?
Yes.
And it's like, I don't want to be offensive, and I'm not trying to squeeze every penny out of you. That's not my goal here, but I need to know what you want to spend so I don't waste your time and my time. And so I do it. Maybe if somebody didn't see the first part of the conversation, they would think that I was being a giant eggplant, but like I am very matter of fact on that, because I think that it helps with the efficiency. There is a lot of time spent wasted in this conversation of doing decking. Like, you joke a bit and you spend a lot of time looking at products that you don't actually end up using. So it's already a lengthy process. So as fast as I can get to where we should be shopping, I try to get to that. I do it politely, but
I think and that's the key. I think the question is posed from the perspective of, he feels like maybe asking those questions can come across the wrong way. And it's like, no, you have to ask the question, but it's the context and who's asking it that can make all the difference. And where I go with this is, our American friends aren't going to understand this whatsoever, but up here in Canada, there's a big box store called Rona, which used to be Canadian but was bought by Lowe's.
Yeah. And
Rona has these commercials that play on the radio all the time. And I can't remember exactly the words of them, but essentially it's kind of like, take your project from, wow, I can't believe our yard looks like this, to, wow, I can't believe our yard looks like this.
Same
and it's
words.
like same words, but the context is like, oh, gross, to like, wow, look at this.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's the same words, but it's just like how it's asked, or the tone and the volume and the who's asking it and everything can give that meaning an entire different context. So if you walk in there and be like, what's your budget even?
Yeah.
That's insulting. Like, that's not, somebody's gonna be like, I don't know that I want to give that to you. But if you ask it in the right way, where it's like, it comes across as caring and it's in their best effort to make sure this process goes smoothly, not because you're trying to get every dime out of them, then they're going to be more willing to share that information for you. So how do you qualify it? Well, you've got to qualify them by asking that question. You have to ask the question.
Yep. And then also, I think that you build that trust back and forth, because when somebody tells me their budget, then I immediately guide them to a board that will work. And so if somebody walks in and says, my budget's $3,000 and I need it built, then we talk about treated. I don't say, oh, treated then. It's like, oh, okay. Well, you're probably going to need treated lumber. Like, that's how this is going to happen for you.
Yeah.
And so we design it, and it's okay. You know how we can make that treated deck look great? We can stain the outside board a different color. We can lay the boards on a 45. And it's like, then I've shown that I'm still interested in the project, even though it's not the most expensive deck we've sold this year.
Yep.
And so I think that's great.
So I did it today with the customers, and we do it every day, but the customers today, I asked the question pretty early on, because in our store, we've got products that range from, literally 99 cents a linear foot up to $7.89 a linear foot, and everything in between. So when they first come in, it's like, we always have to ask, like, so what is your budget for this project? And I usually just give them some context. The reason I'm asking is because this Trex board over here is 2 and change a linear foot, and this AZEK one over here is 7 and change a linear foot. So literally just your choice of maintenance-free decking, you were asking for maintenance-free decking, but just your choice in the decking can triple the cost. So if you're trying to keep things on a budget, I'm not going to waste your time showing you things that you can't have, that you're not willing to go for, right?
Yep.
And on the flip side, if you're like, listen, I want to build this once and I want the nicest looking stuff, then I'm not going to waste your time by showing you the lower end boards that you have no interest in. It's just a matter of like, how do I most effectively and efficiently and accurately show you what you are actually looking for?
Yep.
But it starts with just asking the questions.
And I think the other thing that I do a lot is I move people with that price range. So they give me the number, 10,000. This is the number. Then I show them nice boards. Then I show them less expensive boards, but put lights in it or change the railing. Right. And so then they see that, oh, it's like this guy will actually work with me. He wants to, he's trying to stay at that number, and he's trying to move things around, and he's trying to find exactly what works the best for us. So yeah, I think you have to qualify them. And then if you genuinely care about their product, that will come across.
Yeah.
If you're a giant eggplant in life, it'll be hard.
Yep.
Harder.
So I think that's kind of like our dealer perspective on how you qualify somebody. What's really, I think the answer that Sousa is looking for, Steve's looking for here, I think, is as a contractor I think Steve's trying to move himself into more upper echelon projects, like more expensive projects. He's looking for higher budgets. How does he qualify people? It again comes out to just like asking for the budget first. But one thing you can do too that'll do some of the work for you is charging for your estimates. And that's that's going to weed out, and we've talked about this in the podcast before, but that's going to weed out all of the tire kickers, all of them.
Yep.
No tire kicker or somebody with a really low budget is going to pay for an estimate. And so you don't need to spend your time working with those people.
If that's
Let's just save us all.
Yeah, like
there's lots of guys that can help them.
100%.
So charge a little bit for the estimate. It doesn't have to be much. $50, $100, $200, whatever you want the number to be. Somebody who's about to drop $70,000 on a project or $150,000 won't shake a stick at $100.
Don't show up in a beat up t-shirt though if you charge for an estimate.
Yeah, be a little bit more professional about things.
Come in,
for sure.
like if you want to present yourself as a guy who's like got his shit together, have your shit together.
Yeah.
Show up with a portfolio, be dressed well.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Have some pictures with you, have a book that you can like take some notes in, be ready to sell a $70,000 job when you walk in there.
Yep.
So
yeah, and you just got to tell people what you're about. Like I said, charge that estimate. We don't 90% of the people that you're not interested in, I don't want to sound demeaning to that market, they're important, but if that's not the work you're wanting to do, then save both of yourselves some time and weed them out early. And for those who still call you, just let them know, yes, our rate for doing a quote is $100 per estimate. You can always rebate that back if they hire you, if you want, if you find it necessary, if that's scary to you to charge for an estimate. But let's be honest, if you're quoting 6-figure jobs, there's a lot of time invested in that.
Yep.
You're on the site, like your initial visit's probably an hour long. You might be back for another visit before things are said and done, before you kind of got the
You'll be back 3 more times.
You're spending probably 3 or 4 hours putting the quotation together. You might have to get some numbers from some subcontractors, which takes time. And like you might be 3 days worth of work into an estimate on a big job. So
now
do you want to do that for free?
Yeah, now you're talking like store owner dollars. You're making $100 every 3 days.
And you might have to charge more than $100. Like if you actually want to get paid for your time, you shouldn't have to work for free. But that's going to weed out the tire kickers. That's going to weed out the people you aren't wanting to work for.
Yeah, and for $100, they'll like Shane says, the people that are spending $70,000, they'll see value in that. It'll be fine. Make 3 trips to their house, and all of a sudden they'll have no issue with that $100.
Well, and the fact you charge probably gives them a little bit of confidence. Like this guy can charge for his estimates. Like he's in demand. Like they don't want to hire somebody off Kijiji. They want somebody good. And the fact that you know, all your communication to them, whether it's your website, your emails, your phone calls, how you look, how you present yourself, everything needs to be appropriate for the market you're going after.
Yep.
And all of that justifies being paid for your time.
Yep.
So
absolutely. And yeah. 10 by 10 treated decks, send them to us. We'll manage that.
That's right.
Because they're the ones that should be doing they should be doing that themselves.
Yep.
So
I posted for questions on both accounts, mine and the deck shops. And so I'm switching over now, but there was a question that was asked.
It was removed maybe.
There was a question that was asked that was removed, and it was a great question, but they removed it.
It was one of my favorites.
And so I don't know why they removed it, but we're still going to ask it because we saw it before they removed it. I don't remember the exact wording, but it was something to the effect of, how much has Wade's hair grayed since you opened the store 4 years ago?
50 shades.
50 full shades.
50 shades. I don't know, but it is accelerated.
We will
it's going gray fast.
We will post a picture on Instagram. So if you aren't already following us, go to @TheUltimateDeckShop. We'll post a picture because just before we opened the store, we went to a trade show.
Broke in.
WRLA, the Western Retail Lumber Association. Is that what it stands for?
Yep.
And we got into that show, and our store wasn't actually open yet, but we took a picture at the Simpson Strong Tie booth because they had a giant joist hanger for taking pictures in. So we took a picture there. It's like a first picture of us kind of formally doing what we were about to do.
Yep.
A lot less gray hair in that picture for both of us.
I think we were both a little bit lighter too.
Yeah. Picked up a few pounds and a few gray hairs, and isn't this great?
It's fun
running this business.
It's good though.
So we'll post that picture. You guys can laugh at it and see what 4 years looks like running a lumberyard.
Yep.
And that question was from Windsor Plywood, Sherwood Park. Their handle is @windsorplywood.shpk. I think
so.
Right?
We'll have to look it up.
You might have to look for that, but I think that's how it was.
Yep. Colin.
Yeah. So they asked another question. This one was a serious one. What factors go into deciding whether or not you bring in a new line of products?
Mostly how many dinners the rep buys us. That's me. That's what I go for.
Yeah. You can wine and dine your way into our store.
Yep. 100%.
I probably assume that this might be more geared towards lines of decking versus just any products, but I guess we can kind of answer it from both perspectives. For any product, it just needs to intrigue us and look like it could sell.
It's got to show a value too, right? Like the reason we opened the store was there was products that we wanted that it was a little bit harder to get, and they were valuable. We wanted them.
Yeah.
Right? And so if I think that it'll make the process of building better or easier, then I'll bring it in. I don't look at it like whether I can sell it or not. I believe that we can sell most things.
Well, we bring in tons of things that people aren't asking for, but they're not living it. They're not in it. So how are they going to know to ask for it?
This is the old, the cliche Steve Jobs, right? I'll tell them what they want to buy, right? That's how he felt, right? It was do you want to do what is it? It was like market research, right? And it was like, are we going to go out and sort of poll the audience to find out what we should be doing here at Apple? And Steve Jobs is like, no, I'll decide, and then I'll tell them what they want, and then they'll get it. And so a DIY, or whatever they are, that person who's just building a deck, they don't really even know the options that are out there. And so do they want a camo deck fastener? They have no idea that it's there.
Yeah.
If we show it to them, it's like, this thing is slick. Put the clips in, bang all your boards together, go back with a drill, screw it down. Holy smokes, that's incredible. Some people don't even know that the boards are grooved, right? They're like, so
100%.
Yeah.
So for the accessory side, it's things like, does this product result in a better finish? Like, by using this, do you get a better finish on your deck? The end result's better? Okay, then we're pretty interested in it.
Yep.
Does it make install easier or faster? Well, we're pretty interested in that too. Is it a lower cost to give you the same thing that an existing product does, and somebody's found a lower cost way to do it? Well, then I'm interested in that too. Like, there's a variety of factors we may look at before we bring something in.
Quality is one for me as well. I want to make sure that it's backed with a warranty of some kind, because I don't want to be dealing with a company that's an eggplant. Right?
Yeah.
Right. I want, like, the people that I purchase from, I want them to stand behind their board. So, perfect example was Wolf. We had some fascia that there was an issue with some fascia last year, and the response from Mark was like, solve the problem. Send him as much product as you need to send him to make that work.
Yeah.
And then we'll manage it on our end after from then. Fantastic.
Yeah.
We had that with decorators this year. We had there was a dye lot on one board that was a little bit different. Top deck was one color, bottom deck was a different color. Phoned the distributor, was like, what happened? He was like, I have no idea. Get the deck boards flopped. Like, make sure that you get the right product on the deck so the customer is happy. So those are the people I want to work with, right?
Yeah. You went right to where I was going to go.
Sorry.
Is that
you didn't have it written down?
I have nothing written down. But I was going to say, so it's a little bit different with accessories, but when we're talking actual lines of decking or railing or something like that, a big part of it is relationships.
100%.
Like, I can't say for certain that we would have decorators in this store right now if it wasn't being distributed by McLean Lumber.
Yep.
If decorators came to us from some random distributor from, Ontario or BC or whatever that we hadn't worked with before,
or Mill Direct.
Yeah,
hard to know.
Probably not as interested in it, but the fact that it came distributed through a company that we have a great relationship, we love the people that work there, it made it that much easier. It just removed one roadblock. It'd be like, oh yeah, plus we already get trucks from them, so that was a part of it too.
Yep.
So the logistics can make a difference when you're choosing a product. Like, is this distributed in Canada? For example, Fortress decking. They've pitched, like, we get tons of brands pitched to us all the time, but in Fortress's case, it's like, yeah, it's a decent looking product, seems fine. How's it distributed? It's not. Like, we could put some here somewhere for you guys to kind of fill in. It's like, well, that's like, I don't want to deal with that logistic nightmare. Like, once you have some distribution, then maybe we can reopen this conversation, but it's a little bit tough to get right now. So I'm not super interested in it unless it's a game changer. Like, we do make an exception for Wolf.
Yeah.
We bring Wolf in direct in the States. We buy it by the truckload. So that's a big commitment too. Distribution's not easy. Infill's not easy. But we saw an opportunity for a product that looked fantastic. Great people that are working there. So the relationship side came in again.
We had some people asking for it.
Some
contractors.
And there was a opportunity for an exclusive in our market. So that's attractive as well. Is this something that people can only get from us? That's attractive.
Yeah.
So and then margin, other times it's brand.
Important.
Like, Wolf's not a brand play. Trex was a brand play. We had to have Trex.
Yep.
Trex, TimberTech, Fibron, those are brand plays.
Yep.
Clubhouse, Wolf, Clubhouse we were looking for a unique product that wasn't available here right now. That was good. That was more of a quality play. It came out of Calgary from McLean Lumber again. That worked out really well for us.
Yeah.
Decorator, same thing. So there's a variety of things we may look at.
Fortress was an exclusive play. Regal was a brand play.
On the railing side, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Regal's everywhere. So we thought we should have Regal. It's kind of the baseline, but we want to have options. So let's look for some things that aren't here. Fortress, yeah. It's
fun. It's funny also to hear people talk about not wanting something because it's everywhere, right? And it's like, well, I don't want to carry Regal because all the box stores have it. It's like, well, when you go to a grocery store, everybody carries Kleenex and everybody carries Coke. And it's like, well, you should just have that stuff because they're already looking for it.
Yeah.
No, I don't carry Trex. Home Depot has it. Well, that's stupid. You've kneecapped yourself. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? What, you decided to not carry the largest brand in the industry?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's just, and it's also like, how much effort do you want to put into selling it? Trex, it sells itself for the most part. Like, people come in looking for it, they're familiar with it.
Yep.
To sell somebody Clubhouse, you got to do a lot more educating because they've never heard of it before. So what are the features and benefits of this? You got to do a bit more work, so you got to be prepared for that work too. But I think primarily it comes down to, is it a good product? Does it make sense to us? Would it make sense to a contractor or homeowner? Because it makes life easier, quicker, faster, better. What's the price like? Is it a sellable price point? What's out there for competition? How does it get to us? Like, what's the distribution model?
Yeah.
Those things all come into play.
Yeah, I think that probably where we come at it from is we probably start on the customer side of the coin when we start to make this decision. And it's like, does it work better for the customer? And then we kind of work our way back to the profitability margin stuff, right? Yeah. And then there's a lot of stages all the way along that it can be dropped or we can decide to not carry it, right? But
yeah, and I think now, like, our factors that we look at today in year 4 are different than they were in year 1, because in year 1 the minimum order size would have played into something big.
Who will sell to us?
Yeah, and that's why we didn't have Wolf for the first couple of years, because like we wanted it.
Yeah. We couldn't write a check.
It's like you have to buy a whole truck, and it's like, oh boy, like we're not there yet. Yeah. We can't buy a full truck, and now we can. So, even back then, like somebody saying, oh, you want to buy this brand of oil or something? Like, you have to buy $10,000 worth. Holy smokes. Like, I don't think I can sell that. Now we can. So that's a roadblock removed. So, but there's still some products that would fall into that. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things that just still don't make sense because they want you to order more than you think you can sell.
Correct. We've talked about doing sea cans full of different products, right? And it's just like, that's just not an option. Like, I just don't think that we can do that. So, anyways.
Final question is back to Sousa Outdoor Living. Steve, he asks, scaling your business, do it with employees or subcontractors?
Totally different answers. Again, this is I think store versus contractor.
Yeah. And considering we know Steve's model, I think it's probably, he's looking for an answer that's relevant to him. So in his case, both can work. Depends on the context of the scenario. So decking is also a bit of a niche industry. We use a lot of subcontractors for our installs because it doesn't make sense for us to employ contractors that need work year round, because listen, not many people are building decks between November and end of March.
There's a company like these guys in Ontario do that. They keep their guys busy all year.
Yep.
So
if you've got a milder climate where you can do that, then hire employees. But if you've got if you're running more of a seasonal operation where you don't have work to keep people employed during that time, well, then maybe it's better to look at subcontractors. You also need to, and I know context of Steve asking this question is maybe you're going to get into doing kind of going beyond your typical scope of work. So you're a deck builder, you're comfortable framing and building decks and pergolas, but you're not as comfortable with hardscapes, but you want to start introducing it into your mix. Do you hire landscapers? Maybe not. Maybe you just align with another contractor that you can sub that portion of the job out to, and then that makes a lot of sense. So what you're good at.
I can tell you, if I was in the industry building still, I would be following Sean's model to a T.
Sean from Premier Outdoor Living.
I'd be doing that. And
it's nice to deliver the full backyard,
full scale. And I would bring on the people that could do landscaping, and I would bring on the deck builders, and I obviously wouldn't be as pretty as him on Instagram. Like,
not even close.
Right? Because I have too many gray hairs now. Yeah. But man, he has a good model going. I like that one. I'd do it.
Yeah. So if you can keep your people employed year round, then of course hire employees. That's best. You have more control that way. You have more control over your projects. Like everything's just a little bit easy. I shouldn't say everything. Obviously, having employees introduces other complexities too. But if you can keep them employed year round, and that's your best way to hang on to good people that you can kind of control the final product a little bit more. Obviously, you can control things with the subcontractor as well, but it's a different dynamic.
Yeah.
It's a different dynamic working with employees versus somebody who's kind of like your equal. You know what I mean? Like it's like, no, we're the company here. We're the landscaper. We know what we're doing. It's harder to... It takes another set of talents to be able to control a group of subcontractors than it does just your employees.
Correct.
But anyway,
yeah, I think if you're controlling subcontractors, you need to do a really good job of vetting that. Yep. And then you just need a clear plan, right? Like we talk about this all the time when you're hiring a subcontractor. He doesn't see what you have seen. He has not worked with the clients. He doesn't know what you talked about. So you have to do a really good job of drawing that out for him. Yeah. So he can then see it, or she can see it, right? It
also doesn't have to be either or. It's not black or white. You can have a mix. You can hire some employees and you could subcontract some work out. So scale that way. It just depends. And it depends also what you want to be doing. If you want to be managing more, well, then maybe it makes sense to have more subcontractors and you're just the project manager and the guy doing all the logistics and everything else, the selling and everything. But if you're on the tools, you probably don't have as much time to be managing other people that aren't directly under you. So, maybe then you do look at hiring subcontractors because they'll be more independent. They know their operation. You just need to give them a plan and they can go to it. They don't require any babysitting. They are their boss and they like...
Yeah, I'd be on site, be on the site, on the tools with employees, and then hire a phenomenal office manager, right? Yeah. That's how you scale your business, probably, would be my guess. But
so that was the end of the questions.
Okay, good.
So that was not bad, though. That was 41 minutes of questions we had there.
Yep.
I like that. We should do this again. Next time I'll give people more of a heads up. It's a good topic. It just changes things up a little bit.
Give them a day, man.
Give them a day, yeah. So anyway, thank you to all those people who stepped up and sent questions in to us today.
I like that model.
You know who you are, Steve, Rob, Sherwood Park guys, Colin, Rob. Who am I forgetting? Somebody else that was in there. Elmer Vinyl. Those guys were all in there as well. So thank you guys so much for submitting all your questions to our Q&A version of the podcast today.
Thanks, guys.
Until next week, we'll see you guys later.